I'll be the first to admit that 2025 wasn't the best year for Ninjago. In fact, I was so out of it for most of the year that I didn't even watch Dragon's Rising Season 3 when it aired, which for a superfan is a little, concerning. But guess what? None of that matters because we're back, baby. With the 15th anniversary right around the corner and some awesome sets to come, it's time to look back on both the bad and genuinely great we got this year with the top 10 of the year list. That's not all, though. People make a big deal out of making a top 10 LEGO Ninjago sets of the year list, but what if I ranked every set that came out last year to see what the best of the best is, and the worst of the worst? Today, we're going to be doing exactly that. Hey everyone, Bricksider here, and this is my ranking of every LEGO Ninjago set of 2025. We've got a total of 22 sets to cover, which is actually a lot less than usual, but this won't be including any poly bags or those magazine packs. Also, all of the Dragon Spinjitzu spinners will be grouped together just because they're basically all the same. Lastly, just as an FYI, I'm going to be going through a lot of the bottom half of this list pretty quickly since we have a lot of sets to cover, but once we get to the top 10, I'll slow down and give my actual in-depth thoughts. Alright, let's jump up, kick back, whip around, and get into it. What? Okay, the bottom two spots are terrible. I hate both of these sets. They're so bad for different reasons. I actually had such a hard time deciding which of these sets I hated more, but honestly, it's probably gonna go to the one set that I think I would genuinely sell even if I got it for free, which I don't say about most of the Ninjago sets. Say hello to Kai's Mech Storm Rider. This is actually worthless. It looks so bad. It's weird, it's cluttered, and more than anything, it's just useless. I already don't like the last Mech Rider we got, which lo and behold was also for Kai, who would have guessed. But this one makes that one look like the Millennium Falcon. I know there's probably somebody out there that likes the set, and you know what? Good for you. But we can't be friends. Also, what is this value? 333 pieces and 3 minifigures for $50. Who thought this was a good idea? No, keep me 50 feet away from this thing at all times. Just absolutely nothing good about this set. Like I said, Rontu the Master Dragon is like 1% better. The best thing I can say about this set is that it isn't a complete scam. I mean, the value isn't good, but next to the Mech Rider, it's a lot better, obviously. It's just about as hideous, though. This might just be me, but I hate the Rontu design in the show already. It just looks so cartoony. So, honestly, I was probably going to dislike however they translated it into set form. But this is just not it, Chief. Why is she so, thin, skin and bones dragon? It looks like an Evo dragon, but the Evo dragon should never be at this scale. At least the new Ryu in 2026 has normal proportions even if it has a triple jawline. Here, there's just nothing appealing about the design. The figure selection in this case is at least not as bad for $50, which is ultimately what keeps it from the bottom spot, but this set still sucks. Alright, the Ninja Combat Vehicle is bad in its own special way. See, this is a good set with a horrendous price. It already topped my list for the most overpriced LEGO Ninjago sets of all time, and honestly, I think I went too easy on this thing. It takes a lot for me to put a genuinely good set this freaking low, just because the value just sucks so terribly. But against all odds, LEGO managed to do it. This is now a bad product because it just costs too much for no reason. There's 6 minifigures, which is now, I guess, standard for a $100 set. That's the only part of this that justifies that price. The build is like a $70 car by 2025 standards. How in their right minds did they think it was okay to put this on store shelves at this price? Again, there are 6 really good minifigures. Noct and Colt especially are really good. The build is really good. It obviously looks a lot better all combined than as individual vehicles. The bikes look pretty good actually. It's just that the jet looks a little meh, but again, I cannot stress enough that the actual contents are good. It's just the overall package that makes this a bad set. I don't think the worst junior set of the year has ever ranked above 3 regular sets. I wish I could say that's because it's an amazing junior set, but it's mostly because everything below it either sucks so bad that I unironically think it's the worst set, or it's just way too expensive for what it is. Meanwhile, this set at least isn't garbage, it's just normal bad. Neither of the cars are that bad, they actually look kind of fun for kids, but the only reason you'd ever get this is just for the minifigures. The only problem with that is, of course, it would be too hard to put in the normal versions. Instead, we have to add subpar incomplete versions of each fig, because why wouldn't we? Getting a Forbidden 5 member in a cheaper set is nice, but he's missing his shoulder armor, so what was even the point in doing that? Rogue not only came in way too many sets this year, but we never see this version in the show. And this is technically the cheapest way to get Nia, but not really since she's missing her shoulder armor and hood. I know this seems really nitpicky for a junior set, and honestly, it's always been like this. This is a really egregious example though. As much as it personally annoys me though, 3 minifigures for $23 is honestly not that bad, and this is fine for a 4+ set. Ha, I bet you thought I put this set higher, but not today. No 4+ set is making it near the top 10 in my video. Okay, but I will give credit where it's due. This is kinda one of the best junior sets they've ever made. There's some really oriental printed pieces here that I imagine you could do quite a bit with, and of course, you get 4 of the 5 main ninja in their winter 2025 forms in some form or another. Again, it's not perfect, maybe including complete versions could have shot this up a couple places, but pretty much all of them are compromised in some way, so that sucks. Even then, if you're somebody who doesn't mind having the incomplete versions, this isn't a bad deal for $40, but as somebody who doesn't go out of their way to collect every ninja every wave, and cares more about getting a great build for a good value, this set obviously isn't doing a lot for me, but I'm mildly impressed for what it is. Props for not having a random vehicle that spikes the price too. Some people really like Rogue's Mech Dragon Rider. I am not one of them. Listen, we got a Lightning Dragon 2 years ago, and it was basically as perfect as an Elemental Dragon that we're gonna ever get for Jay. This version is just overwhelmingly fine. I don't really care for the T-Rex stature that much, and the vibrant colors of the original are replaced for this pretty bland blue and gray. Every time I look at the set, I forget that it's a Mech Rider 2. It's like they tried to make that look really cool, but it just doesn't really work at all. I don't know, there's just nothing about the main build that really sticks out to me, even if it's inherently not that bad. It's just a pretty average $60 set. Oh wait, it's $75 with 4 minifigures. Well, maybe they're good minifigures. This guy is exclusive. Yeah, I forgot their name. I'm not searching it up. Oh wait. There's another Rogue minifigure? Exactly what I wanted. Don't buy this set. Ugh, how many more of these mediocre sets do we have to get through to get to the good stuff? This isn't even in the script. I don't like talking about overpriced mediocrity. The Green Dragon, the dragon, Lloyd's Green Forest Dragon. Ugh, it's okay. The dragon is overwhelmingly fine. I really don't know what else to say. There's a little golden dragon. That's kind of cute. Lloyd is in his winter 2024 robe for some reason. Oh yeah, and how is this $20? This is literally smaller than that last version of Ryu. I don't know. Nothing makes sense anymore. Let's move on. Lloyd's pullback race car. Yay, another boring Lloyd set. Actually, this one is kind of interesting. There's a function where you can pull back the car and it's supposed to spring forward when you release it. I'm not gonna act like it's the most revolutionary idea ever, but it looks moderately fun, and at least you do get the full version of Lloyd here with the Dragonian Warrior. The car has a sleek race car design, but it's nothing to write home about, and that goes for the set as a whole. I'm not super sure where I stand on the Dragon Spinjitzu spinners since I still haven't bought any of them. As far as spinners go though, they could be a lot worse. I already ranted at length about how LEGO's been doing the gimmick sets for a while now, so I'll spare you from that here. But the bottom line is, these look fun enough, but I honestly think saving the money for a bigger set is a lot more favorable. Between the three, I think the battle pack with Roz and Aaron is the best by far, especially because it's a cheap way to get Lord Roz, but the Kai one is also pretty cool. The exclusive ninja you get are fine. I'm not a huge fan of the hood molds they use in this set or the main one, but maybe they'll grow on me with time. Fine sets, but there's no reason to put them any higher. Roz and Aaron's Super Storm Jet. I still don't know how I feel about this one, honestly. The actual jet isn't bad at all. I think the egg-shaped bladed wing design gives it a really sharp look. I'm just not a huge fan of Aaron's color scheme, and that's what most of this build is. Roz's colors are a lot more preferable, but they take up such a small part of the build. I just wish this was more of Roz's Superstorm jet instead of the other way around. 3 minifigures for $50 also just seems really lame. Like, Roz isn't really that rare of a fig anymore to just justify not including 1 or 2 more Ninja or Dragonians. I think this is a decent set to get on sale, but otherwise there's much better options from this year. Okay, people are not going to be happy with me on this one, but I do not get Lloyd's Jet Mech. Obviously, from where I ranked it, I don't think this is the worst set of all time or anything, but it's just kind of decent at best, at least to me. The best part is the 3-in-1 concept. I think the actual flow of transforming the mech between the jet and flying mech states is executed really well. It's pretty smooth, especially on a set of this scale. I hate to say it though, the design isn't really doing it for me. I vastly prefer the mech, but even then, the singular shade of green throughout the whole thing and the way the cockpit sorta hangs out makes this build look really weird in my opinion. I prefer it over the jet though because of the way they had to fit in the transforming concept. It has to have these huge boosters in the back that completely intrude the build. I don't like how that came out at all. Minifigure wise, there should have been a lot more honestly, but it's not that bad. Just adding an extra ninja I would say would have done the job. Lastly, there's the price. $110 is okay. It's not bad, but again, at least to me, there were just way better things to spend that money on this year. This isn't a bad set by any means, but just slightly disappointing. As much as I've mentioned the Arc Dragon of Focus, or its real name, the Peanut Butter and Jelly Dragon, this year, it's not a bad set. It's just flawed in a few too many areas. I think from a value perspective, this one pushes the line a bit, but the figure selection is great for the price. I've got no complaints about that. 3 Ninja, 2 of the Forbidden 5, and Pixel, and a Dragonian for extra measure is exactly what I want out of a $100 set. More of this, please. Getting a spinner is also a nice bonus. But then, there's the Dragon. I can't lie and act like it isn't conceptually really cool because it totally is. In fact, I would say most of the shaping and actual construction of the Dragon is pretty sound. It's just the color scheme, man. The purple is fine, maybe a little boring, but contrasting it with the even plainer tan was a really poor choice. It just makes one half look a lot more exciting than the other. We were this close to creating something really awesome here, but that imperfection, along with this just not being $100 worth of a build, keeps it out of the top 10 for me. Speaking of that top 10, here it is. I will say all of these sets are good and the best or great or even amazing, but before we continue, please consider subscribing to the Bricksider. The support I've been receiving on these videos recently has surpassed my expectations tenfold. I never expected for these videos to do so well, and as long as the support keeps coming, I'll keep putting in the hours needed to make these videos as good as possible. Subscribing is the easiest way to make that happen, so go ahead, click that button. Thank you all so much, and back to the video. LEGO has been cooking with these $10 sets recently. Kai's Motorcycle Speed Race isn't even my favorite one of the year, and it still made the top 10, which is pretty impressive if you ask me. The best part about this set is easily the minifigures. The Spectral Dragonian Scout looks great, but the real highlight is the complete version of Kai. You heard me right. Everything is here. The mask and the sick new shoulder armor included, completely uncompromised. The bike builds aren't bad either. The Kai one's a bit better, but both are pretty sharp and get the job done. This is a solid set and I'd highly recommend picking it up if you haven't already. Honestly, I was surprised to see Aaron's Spinjitzu Battle Mech rank this high, but the more I look at this set, the more I like this mech. It's got that simple Evo style design, but this might be the best execution of an Evo style mech I've seen them make so far. It doesn't really seem compromised in any way like the rest of them. Sprinkling in the little trans purple pieces was a great touch too. I think that's what a lot of Aaron's sets are missing. I don't even mind the black here since it gives the mech a more armored feeling. I've got no complaints about the main mech. It's a cheap way to get Aaron, Baby Ryu, and a Spectral Dragonian, and at 23 bucks, the value ain't half bad either. It's not an absolute must-have from this year, but it's far from a bad set. But step aside, the king of the $10 sets is here, Zane's Battle Suit Mech. Heck yeah, look how epic this thing is. Alright, maybe the mech isn't the main selling point here, but it's a cute little build with some good parts. No, but the highlights are the figures. Getting one of the Forbidden 5 with Drix here is kinda crazy, but just makes this that much better. And the Zane minifig might not be complete, but unlike some of the other Ninja, he actually comes in another relatively affordable good set, so I'm not going to smash a plate on the floor or anything. And I know people have memed on how many sets Wildfire comes in now, but the fact that a third figure is included at all is pretty fire. Actually, see what I did there? This set isn't groundbreaking or anything, but it's really good for what it is. I'm telling you, if the Dragonian Storm Village was just $30 instead of $40, this would have probably been in the top 5. But even then, this set is honestly not a bad value. The 6 minifigures you do get are all really good, and there's some good variety here. 2 complete ninja, 2 Dragonians, Rogue, and the Crown Jewel Moro, who returned after 10 years. Honestly, that was enough to make me like this set already, but the build is quite good too. I'm a big fan of getting smaller to mid-sized location builds over vehicles, and this is exactly that. A fun little playset with a few functions like the dropping bridge and spinner that also looks good. I just don't have any complaints with this set, other than that I wish it was just a bit cheaper, but even then, it's still kind of a good value. The ninja character display is obviously way better for just $5 more though. While I was writing this video, I must have moved the Thunderfang Dragon of Chaos around like at least 5 times. I don't know what to do with this set. On one hand, I like the dragon build a lot. The colors work a lot better than the Arc Dragon of Focus, and the actual shaping of the thing is really impressive. It actually looks really intimidating. The minifigure selection is also great. I have no idea why the figure distribution was only good in the spring wave in literally no time before or after, but I'm not going to complain. Well, I guess I am, but not about these 2 sets, it looks like. You get another Forbidden 5 here, which is Noct, 2 of the new Ninja, and 2 of the old Ninja. The variety isn't as good as the Arc Dragon, but the good thing about this set is that it's a villain build, so that kind of offsets it. And again, it's a really good villain build. The only complaints I have is that I think the torso should have been bulked up a little, and the idea of Thunderfang being chained to this tiny shrine is really cool, but the chains just aren't significant enough, so in display it doesn't really pull off the chain look as well as it could have. But those are just small things that don't really matter that much, because overall I like the set, and the $70 price tag seems reasonable enough. Zane's Ultra Combiner mech is exactly what was missing from Lloyd's Jet mech. This set pulls off the combined design pretty well, all things considered. It's not perfect, obviously, but I kind of like some of the color disparity here. Unlike something like the Ultra Combo vehicle, this set uses a variety of colors and shapes to its advantage to create a pretty awesome build. I mean, you gotta at least give it props for the way Ryu was integrated. I mean, that's just great. But even the arms and torso are bulky and even posable. The legs are the only part where you can very obviously tell that the splits apart to create 4 different builds. Out of the 4 builds, the car is definitely the best, followed by the jet, and then Ryu, and finally the little Zane mech, if you could even call it that. Ryu and Zane don't really work super well on their own, but I think that was a worthy trade-off since the actual vehicles look surprisingly complete on their own, even more so than the Ultra Ninja Combo vehicle from Core. With the exception of the Kai mech, I'd say the 2 vehicles in this set are better than any of the other ones in that set. I still like that set more overall, just because it comes together to form a more impressive mech in my opinion, but this one comes really close, and I was not expecting that. And look at that, there's a solid minifigure selection with some good variety in here. This is just an all-around good $100 set that you can't really go wrong with. With how high I've placed the Ninjago City workshops, you might think I absolutely love this set, but this is a pretty low ranking for a D2C set. Frankly, this is my least favorite of the 5 Ninjago City sets, including the docks, by far. I just don't really love it like the other ones, and that's fine. It's still a really impressive build, but this one more than the others feels like an accessory to the other ones and just doesn't really stand on its own nearly as well. I think that all comes down to this gap in the back. I just don't like that. Again, it allows this set to connect really well with the others, but on its own it just looks way too airy. I like these sets to feel compact, and this set really lacks that. Plus, there's a big space on the right with tons of open air. Obviously, it's meant to fit the whole construction theme, especially with the mech, but I don't know, I think I'd prefer if there was just a full shop or apartment there. And overall, the construction of the mech concept just isn't enough of a buying point for this set as I think LEGO was going for. The mech is pretty underwhelming, and I just don't think it adds a lot to the aesthetic of the set. That's just the whole theme of this set, underwhelming. Even the minifigures are like that. There's some solid Dragons Rising characters here, and even casual Harumi, which I love, but there's not nearly as many desirable exclusives as we're used to getting from these sets. All of this is $250. A good value compared to other LEGO themes, but the gardens and markets both only cost $100 more for builds that were up to 2 times as big as this. That just doesn't really seem fair in my opinion. I don't know why anyone who doesn't already have those sets wouldn't go for them, putting aside the fact that they're retired now. Even with all of that complaining aside, it's still in the top 5 for a good reason. At the end of the day, this is still a Ninjago City set, and a good one at that. I love the new little shops we get here, and they managed to improve a lot about the modular design on this go around. The references are still here, the interiors are still busy, and the parts usage is still clever. It's still a great addition to the Ninjago cities, even if it's a weaker set on its own. Regardless of your thoughts on the idea of Ninjago Legends, you have to admit the actual sets we got out of them were sick as hell. I had a really hard time deciding which one of them I liked more, but I think the Guardian Dragon is just slightly weaker, but only slightly. This dragon just looks so good. Not just the dragon, but even the pedestal it stands on is so well built and elegant. None of that compares to the Guardian Dragon though. I mean, talk about perfect shaping. Just look at that bod. This thing's a beast. Even the wing and head builds are great, but it's just the shaping of the torso that brings it all together. And look, I've heard the complaints. I know it's locked in one position and getting it to pose around would have made it look even better. All of this is absolutely true, but to me at least, the reason I don't care is because this is almost exclusively a display set. And for me at least, I'm not trying to position this thing in any other way because the default position already looks so clean. Being able to play around with the other orientations would be nice, yeah, but honestly, I don't mean that to like this set. That might just be me, but I like this set for what it is. $150 for this build is pretty reasonable too. Obviously, you're not getting much storyline or minifigure value out of this, but again, as someone whose main priority is getting a sick looking build, man does this do that. Honestly though, I think I like the Fire Knight mech even more, which is really saying something. The value is not nearly as good on this one unfortunately, but it's not as bad as the price to part makes it seem like. There's a lot of larger pieces throughout that bring this set to a proper scale. Plus, I think I might like the build even more than the Guardian Dragon. I mean, just look at this shaping. And unlike other sets that try to pull off only having one shade of a singular color for most of the build, if you're gonna do it with any color, you might as well do it red. The red is just so clean, dude, and it makes even some of the sharper pieces come together to create a really smooth design with good posability and stability. The cherry on top is this sick as hell cape. I mean, look at that. It looks like it's flowing in the wind. It's so freaking cool. And unlike the Guardian Dragon, you can actually get this thing into multiple poses, which is what ultimately put this set higher, even if I wish it was just a little bit cheaper. But the award for the best LEGO Ninjago set of 2025 goes to the Temple Bounty. This set isn't perfect, not by a long shot. The biggest problem here is why are there only 6 minifigures in a $200 set? I can't be the only one who think that's absolutely ludicrous, cause it is. You get a singular bad guy and it's Zark. Why? 2 of the other minifigs are just Wildfire and Rogue if we didn't have enough of them already. This is just a really disappointing figure selection for the set, honestly. There's also some elements of the actual ship that I would tweak. The main one is that I think the back sail just sticks out really awkwardly, and it leads to it just kinda hanging out there. The dragon skeleton that flows throughout the main bounty also could have been more than it actually was. It just feels a bit incomplete. But despite these problems, this is still my favorite set of the year, and it's not because of, oh, nothing else was better. No, it's because this is an amazing set where the great elements far outweigh the few small flaws I have with it. The overall design is just beautiful. Everything from the hull to the way the small sections layer atop one another to the sails coming together to form a super elegant design. Including that stand was also a great touch for the overall look of the build. And man, that interior is just perfect. It's packed with so many fun features and room to display figures. It's just got it all. For years, I've been wanting to buy a Destiny's Bounty because I love this ship. It's the staple of the Ninja's headquarters, and there's been so many versions throughout the years. But with their tendency of being pretty expensive, I never picked one up because I was looking for the perfect version. I was too young to afford the masterpiece that was the movie Bounty when it came out. A lot of people loved the Legacy Bounty, but for some reason that one never quite clicked with me, and the Destiny's Bounty Race Against Time had too many major design flaws holding it back from perfection. So, with that being said, is this the perfect version? Well, I mean, yeah, I already kind of bought it. This is now the gold standard for the Destiny's Bounty, and I honestly don't know if they could top it without it being a D2C scale. This is just a fantastic set, and easily my favorite of 2025. There's my list though, and I'm really curious to hear yours in the comments down below. At least the top 10. You can do the whole ranking if you want, but that's a bit more than ambitious. Honestly, while this was a weaker year for both the sets and the show, I have hope for the future. With Ninjago's 15th anniversary and the return of Legacy, along with the theme slowly becoming more popular, I think we could be on the brink of a Ninjago renaissance, a Ninjago-sance if you will, and I for one am super glad to be making content for it during this exciting time. That's all for me though, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see ya in the next one. Here's to a great year.